Folks, when the lights go out, chaos follows. Every second counts, and most people blow it. The United States is plunging into darkness more often than ever, literally. The Department of Energy reports that the number of large-scale blackouts has surged 150% in the past decade, and the average outage now lasts longer than 8 hours. 8 hours without power means no heat, no refrigeration, no communication, and for some, no survival. In 2021, during the Texas freeze, hundreds died, not from the cold itself, but from what they did wrong when the power went out. They lit candles near curtains, ran generators inside, opened their freezers just for a second, and paid the price with their lives. Let me tell you something. Blackouts aren't just inconvenient anymore. They're the new normal. Wildfires, grid overloads, cyber attacks, extreme heat, they're all pushing the grid to its breaking point. In 2024 alone, the U.S. saw over $25 billion in economic losses tied to power disruptions. When the lights die, society starts unraveling one refrigerator, one phone battery, one bad decision at a time. And it always begins the same way, with panic. So here's the deal. The first 60 minutes after the lights vanish will determine whether you ride out the blackout like a pro or end up on the evening news as a cautionary tale. I'm going to tell you exactly what not to do in that critical first hour, because those little mistakes, they're the ones that burn down homes, spoil your food supply, or worse, take lives. 3 things. 3 deadly errors. Avoid them, and you'll not only survive, you'll outsmart the blackout. Mistake number 3, leaving everything on and setting yourself up for a shock. Let's talk about something most people completely overlook when the lights go out. What's still on while the power is off. Sounds ridiculous, right? But think about it. When the grid crashes, your home is frozen mid-breath. The stove burner you were using, the space heater humming in the corner, the washing machine halfway through its spin cycle, they all just pause, but they're not off. They're waiting. And when the power suddenly surges back in, all those devices roar to life like a herd of mechanical bulls. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, power surges after blackouts cause thousands of home fires every single year, roughly 25,000 reported annually, most starting from unattended electrical appliances reigniting at full blast. And that's just the fires. The economic damage from surge-related equipment failure runs into billions. Yes, billions. With the Department of Energy estimating around $150 billion in annual losses from power disturbances in the U.S. alone. That's not just industrial equipment or data centers. It's your flat-screen TV, your expensive gaming PC, your $3,000 refrigerator that now sounds like a jet engine. When power returns, it doesn't come back smoothly like a gentle sunrise. It slams back like a lightning strike, sending voltage spikes across every circuit in your home. If your gear is still plugged in, you've basically built an electric firing squad aimed at your wallet. And it's not just your electronics at risk, it's your safety. Thousands of kitchen fires start each year from forgotten stovetops reigniting when the power returns unexpectedly, especially overnight. Imagine this. It's 2:47 a.m. You're finally asleep after a long, powerless evening, and your electricity snaps back. The burner you left off but not switched to 0 suddenly heats up the towel sitting nearby. Within minutes, your kitchen's an inferno before you even realize the lights are back. During the 2022 California rolling blackouts, local fire departments reported over 80 house fires within hours of grid restoration, many caused by simple mistakes like this. One case in Bakersfield involved a family who had been cooking pasta when the outage hit. They left the pot on the stove thinking they'd return to it when the lights came back. Instead, they woke to smoke alarms and a destroyed kitchen. The same logic applies to hair straighteners, space heaters, irons, basically anything that generates heat. These small household gadgets account for over 40% of post-blackout home fires, according to NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, data. But here's something most people don't realize. Even if you avoid the flames, the power surge that hits your home when the grid restarts can silently wreck your wiring. Electrical engineers call it a reclosing event, when grid systems reconnect after a failure. The returning voltage can spike well above 250 volts for a few milliseconds, more than enough to fry sensitive circuitry. That's why whole home surge protectors and smart breakers exist, but most households still don't have them installed. Without protection, those millisecond jolts can damage capacitor banks, melt power cords, or in extreme cases, start smoldering fires inside walls where you won't notice until it's too late. Utility companies try to stabilize the load by re-energizing the grid in phases, but they can't protect every home. That's your job. So when the power drops, don't assume off means safe. Get up and physically switch off or unplug your big-ticket items. The oven, heater, washer, computer, TV, aquarium pump, and anything that was actively drawing power. Here's the pro move that most people don't know. Leave just one light on, a small lamp, ideally with an LED bulb. So when power returns, you get a gentle visual cue instead of a full-blown electrical orchestra. LEDs are low draw, and that one soft glow will tell you it's safe to begin turning things back on one by one. Doing so reduces load shock on your home's electrical panel and prevents that instant demand spike that can cause another trip or surge. Think of it like easing a car out of park instead of slamming the gas from 0 to 60. And for extra insurance, keep your electronics plugged into high-quality surge strips rated at least 2,000 joules. Cheap ones from the dollar store aren't real surge protectors. They're glorified extension cords. Modern whole-home surge units, which cost under $300 and last a decade, can protect your wiring, fridge, and computers all at once. That's a lot cheaper than replacing a fried entertainment setup or a burned-down kitchen. So, when the lights die, don't just stand there waiting for them to come back. Act. Go room to room, switch off the heat sources, unplug the sensitive tech, and keep one low-power lamp on as your signal. That single step could mean the difference between a smooth restart and thousands in losses, or worse. Remember, when the grid wakes up, it doesn't whisper. It roars. And if your home's not ready, that roar can bite. Mistake number 2. Raiding the fridge and wasting your lifeline supplies. Now, let's talk about the most seductive mistake people make the minute the power cuts out. Marching straight to the refrigerator like it's some kind of post-apocalyptic buffet. I get it. The second that hum of the fridge dies, something primal kicks in. You start thinking about what's inside, those steaks, the milk, that leftover lasagna, and before you know it, you're standing there with the door wide open, letting all that precious cold air rush out like it owes you money. But here's the brutal truth. Every time you open that fridge during a blackout, you're not just checking your food, you're shortening its lifespan. According to the USDA, a standard refrigerator maintains safe temperatures, below 40 degrees Celsius or 4 degrees Celsius, for only about 4 hours if the door stays shut. A full freezer? It can hold its temperature for 48 hours, but only if you resist the urge to peek. Crack that door open a few times out of habit, and you've just turned your expensive appliance into a warm pantry. That's not me exaggerating. Thermal imaging studies from the Department of Energy show that a single minute of open door time during a power outage can raise the internal temperature by 5 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit. And once that happens, bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria monocytogenes start multiplying faster than political promises in an election year. Here's something most folks don't know. Your fridge isn't a magic cold box. It's a delicate microclimate. The compressor, insulation, and humidity levels all work together to keep bacteria from growing. When that system halts, perishables start warming unevenly. The back corner of the fridge might stay colder longer, but the items on the door, your eggs, juices, condiments, become bacterial playgrounds within hours. During the massive 2021 Texas winter storm blackout, emergency health reports showed a 36% spike in foodborne illness cases in the days following power restoration. Why? Because people kept eating seemingly fine food that had been above 40 degrees Celsius for too long. The CDC states that pathogens can double every 20 minutes under warm, moist conditions. That means in just 4 hours, a single bacterium can become over 16 million. And you wouldn't even know it. Most spoiled food doesn't look or smell bad. The infamous sniff test that Grandma swore by? Totally unreliable. Scientists have confirmed that odor-causing bacteria and disease-causing bacteria are often completely different species. So your leftovers might smell normal, but they could still be a microbial minefield. Now, if you think you're safe because you stocked your fridge with shelf-stable items, think again. Items like mayonnaise, salad dressings, and sauces become hazardous faster than you think once their emulsifiers break down under fluctuating temperatures. Even hard cheeses and butter start to sweat and harbor mold spores after 6 hours without proper cooling. And don't even get me started on seafood or poultry. During the 2003 Northeast blackout, hospitals in New York treated over 1,000 cases of food poisoning in just 2 days, with more than half traced back to spoiled chicken and deli meats that had only been out of power overnight. The moral here? That fridge door is not your friend when the lights go out. It's the enemy of your survival pantry. Here's the game plan that real preppers and food safety experts use. The minute the power fails, tape the fridge and freezer doors shut if you have to. Literally. Duct tape, a note, anything to remind yourself and your family not to open it. Move the most perishable items, like milk, meat, and leftovers, into a well-insulated cooler with ice or frozen gel packs. According to the American Red Cross, a properly packed cooler can keep food safe for up to 2 days if maintained under 40 degrees Celsius. And here's a pro tip almost nobody mentions. Fill empty plastic bottles with water and keep them frozen in your freezer during normal times. When the power goes out, those frozen bottles act like thermal batteries, slowing temperature rise dramatically. Plus, when they melt, you've got safe drinking water. Double win. And since we're talking survival, let's address your electronics too, because this is where people waste their other precious resource, battery power. During an outage, most folks burn through their phone battery in hours, binge-watching videos, texting updates, or scrolling social media to kill time. But remember, your phone is now your emergency line, your flashlight, your weather radio, your connection to the outside world. Once it's dead, you're in the dark, literally and figuratively. The average modern smartphone loses 20% of its charge per hour during active video streaming and 10% during social use. That means a fully charged phone dies in about 5 hours of mindless scrolling. Don't do that. Switch to low power mode immediately, lower your screen brightness, and close all unnecessary apps. Turn off Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and background refresh. Text instead of call. And if you've got a power bank, ration it like gold. Don't plug in until your phone drops below 20%. Every watt counts. Mistake number 1. Lighting up trouble. Candles, generators, and all the wrong ways to see in the dark. When the lights cut out and the world suddenly goes black, your brain does something funny. It panics. Instinct kicks in, and your first thought isn't strategy or safety. It's light. You fumble for matches, maybe strike a candle, or worse, drag the grill inside because it's just for a minute. But here's the cold, dangerous truth. The first hour of a blackout is the most critical, and lighting it the wrong way could kill you faster than the outage itself. Every year in the United States, according to the National Fire Protection Association, candle-related fires cause over 7,400 house fires, killing nearly 90 people and injuring more than 600. And the kicker? Most of those fires happen during power outages. People think they're just being resourceful, but what they're really doing is turning their homes into tinderboxes. The 2003 Northeast blackout alone saw a 10-fold spike in candle fires in one night. Think about that. Millions without power, and within hours, dozens of neighborhoods were lit up for all the wrong reasons, by house fires, not electricity. And yet we keep making the same mistakes. Lighting a candle feels harmless, nostalgic even. Something about the flickering glow makes us think of simpler times, but reality doesn't care about vibes. It cares about physics and oxygen. The average household candle burns at around 1,000 degree Celsius, 1,800 degree Celsius, at its flame core, hot enough to ignite curtains, paper, or upholstery in under 60 seconds. And you're not exactly in full control when you're stumbling around the dark, bumping into furniture. Fire departments report that half of all candle fires start because something flammable was left within 3 feet of the flame. In an outage, when your vision's compromised and adrenaline's pumping, that's a recipe for disaster. One misplaced elbow, one toppled candle, and suddenly you're not dealing with a blackout. You're dealing with a full-blown inferno. A family in Georgia learned that after Hurricane Helene, they lit a candle during the outage, fell asleep, and lost their entire home within 20 minutes. That's not a freak accident, it's a pattern. Now let's talk about the other killer: carbon monoxide. When the lights go out, people panic about food and warmth, so they start running gas generators in garages, lighting charcoal grills indoors, or even idling cars for heat. You might think cracking a window makes it safe. It doesn't. Carbon monoxide is silent, odorless, and heavier than air. Once it starts accumulating, you'll never know until it's too late. The CDC estimates that every year over 400 Americans die from CO poisoning related to generator misuse, and thousands more are hospitalized. During the 2021 Texas freeze, 19 people died from CO poisoning, most from running generators, grills, or vehicles indoors. The Texas Department of State Health Services said it bluntly: more people died from carbon monoxide than from hypothermia. That's how deadly ignorance can be. You can't see it, smell it, or taste it, but it displaces oxygen in your bloodstream and quietly suffocates you. By the time symptoms like dizziness, confusion, or nausea hit, your brain's already starved for oxygen. If you're asleep, you'll never wake up. But here's where it gets even trickier. Many people think portable generators are foolproof. They're not. If you're running one outside but too close to a window or vent, those invisible fumes can still seep in. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission recommends placing generators at least 20 feet away from any window, door, or vent, with the exhaust pointing away from the house. Yet in surveys, nearly 40% of users admit they run them much closer because of rain, theft concerns, or convenience. That's a fatal shortcut. Even with doors closed, CO molecules find their way through gaps and HVAC systems. After Hurricane Laura in 2020, most of the 30 reported storm-related deaths in Louisiana weren't from flooding or wind. They were from generators poisoning people inside their own homes. So let's get real about what you should do instead. Forget the candles. Modern LED lanterns and flashlights are brighter, safer, and last way longer. A decent LED lantern runs for 100 hours on a single set of batteries and doesn't set your drapes on fire. Keep one in every major room and invest in rechargeable ones that you can top off with a small solar panel or power bank. For heat and cooking, never use indoor fuel burners. Stick with propane camping stoves specifically designed for outdoor use, and only operate them outside in open air. And if you must use a generator, get a carbon monoxide detector. Battery-powered, not plug-in. They cost under $30 and could literally save your life. For extra preparedness, consider investing in a battery backup station, a new generation of silent, fume-free solar generators. These things aren't gimmicks. A solid mid-tier model like the EcoFlow Delta 2 or Bluetti AC200 can store over 2 kWh of energy, enough to power lights, charge phones, and even keep your refrigerator running for a day. They recharge via solar panels or wall outlets, emit zero fumes, and automatically switch on when the grid goes down. No gas, no noise, no deadly exhaust. Sure, they're pricier up front, but so is oxygen. And last I checked, you need that more than a bargain generator. So if you take nothing else from this, take this. Never, ever rely on open flames or indoor combustion to get through a blackout. That warm candle glow or low hum of a generator might feel like safety, but it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Fire and carbon monoxide don't care about your intentions. They only care about physics. Don't turn a blackout into a funeral. Go electric, go safe, and plan before the lights go out. Because once they do, your margin for error vanishes.